said the phrase, and I quote, "That moment when you realize Charlotte's teeth are just as white as Ric Flair's hair." I don't know why, but you just look at Flair's head, and it honestly just looked like he just put his head in flour, or just did not decide to bleach it that day. Then again, maybe he's accepting the fact that, oh, I'm not the blonde-haired pretty boy anymore, so maybe it's just time to accept the fact that, hey, I'm an old guy, which, I highly doubt that's going to happen. But at the same time, it'd be very interesting. But it was a very interesting promo, and, still great matchup between Charlotte and Natalya at Roadblock. Go into another tag team match in which we see Social Outcast Bo Dallas and Adam Rose taking on the Usos. The Dudley Boys were on commentary, and they were very, very, very vocal, saying that, the Usos were relying on their fat-ass father, aka Rikishi. So it is definitely going to be pretty personal, the way that they're going into this feud. But in the end, the Social Outcasts got beat down like, how did JR say it? Like a scalded pig. And they hit the, super kick, splash, 1, 2, 3 on Bo Dallas. And then it gets announced, I believe it was after Monday Night Raw, or it was during Raw, something like that. But Renee Young announced that at WrestleMania, it will be the Dudley Boys versus the Usos. Definitely looking forward to seeing how this matchup turns out, because I think this was a matchup that we wanted to see for quite a while now. And I think the fact that the Dudley Boys are heel and the Usos are face, they're going to make this matchup that much more amazing. And I think it's going to really make the Usos look strong. The last time that they did look strong was back at the Battleground pay-per-view. I think it was 2014 when they faced off against Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, especially in that 2 out of 3 falls match. That was just awesome. We cut to a promo with Dean Ambrose, and he runs into the hardcore icon, Mick Foley, the hardcore legend. Foley warns Ambrose that he's going to get really hurt by Brock Lesnar. Ambrose says that, hey, he can handle it. And Foley not only gives him his endorsement, but he gets a gift for him. Apparently, it's a belated Christmas gift, maybe. I don't know. But Ambrose opens it up, and he just smiles, because he grabs it, and it was a baseball bat covered in barbed wire. I look at that, I think to myself, oh, they are really bringing back an edgy side now, because I cannot name the last time that they've actually done something like that, where they've actually brought in some kind of hardcore deal. Something that hardcore, I should say. I think the last time they did it was, God, it was a long, long time ago. I think back when ECW was even still existent. But it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in the matchup between Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Again, now I'm really interested in seeing how this matchup goes. Triple H went one-on-one with Dolph Ziggler. I honestly thought that this was going to be the main event deal, but the main event deal was actually Undertaker and the McMahons, which it was still cool. Anyway, but this matchup in and of itself was another great matchup that made Dolph Ziggler look strong. It looks like a very strong competitor. We saw everything that Dolph Ziggler had in his arsenal. We saw him hit the DDT. We saw him hit the Famouser. Saw him hit a super kick out of nowhere. And Triple H, selling like a champ. Same thing with Dolph Ziggler. But in the end, we saw... I'm trying to remember exactly what... Oh, there we go. He goes for the zigzag on Triple H, but unfortunately, he hits the back of his head, and Triple H hits the pedigree for the 1, 2, 3. Apparently, it seems like Dolph Ziggler is not going to WrestleMania. I don't know, maybe Stephanie's got something else for her, maybe something else. Who knows? But as soon as the matchup was over, that's when you heard, "Badum, badum, badum, dun da, Roman Reigns is coming down to the ring." And he did not come through the audience, and that was the first place that Triple H and Stephanie looked, was through the audience. No, this time Roman Reigns, he came up through the entrance ramp, and you looked at Roman Reigns' face, he was absolutely pissed off. You could see the emotion in his face, and it just looked like he wanted to tear somebody a new one. And that is actually what happened with him and Triple H. At first, it kind of was just like, the punches were kind of weak. But then Roman Reigns just throws Triple H into the barricade. He throws him into the soundboard system, just tosses different kinds of weapons at him. And we even saw him, Triple H grabs a steel chair, and Roman Reigns just grabs this trash can and just launches it at Triple H. I was like, holy cow. In the end, we also saw Roman Reigns grab a TV monitor and just go bam, boom, bam, bam. Until finally the Usos, Mark Henry, and Jack Swagger told Roman Reigns, hey, save it for WrestleMania, save it for WrestleMania. Triple H makes his escape. And he also had to get stitches during the deal, because apparently when Triple H was coming back from getting beaten down, he got some kind of a cut. I don't know if it was in the back of his head or if it was by his ear or something like that, but you just see blood kind of, coming down for the back of Triple H's head, and I'm like, oh, wow, they're really making this more edgy. I think that, with the way that Roman Reigns is just going to go crazy ballistic on Triple H, they definitely need to make this like no DQ or something like that. Add some kind of stipulation. So then we go on to another R-Truth and Goldust deal, in which we see R-Truth dressed up like a penguin, and apparently Goldust actually said the line of hey, I know why you're doing this. We're in Pittsburgh, and you're dressed up like the Pittsburgh Penguins. And the classic line that R-Truth said, we're in Pittsburgh? It's one of those things like, oh, gosh. And R-Truth goes into like this random deal about how, Penguins pick their partners for life and blah, blah, blah. And R-Truth said again, be my tag team partner. And Goldust declines. And of course, R-Truth just puts on the Penguin outfit and just waddles away. And then they show the Pittsburgh Penguins logo. I think, oh, well, good to know that they have time to plug in a hockey team. But then we see a matchup between Neville versus Chris Jericho. And unfortunately, this was the matchup where Neville got hurt. Apparently what happened was Neville was going for a slide underneath. He was going for some kind of a baseball slide to, go under Chris Jericho. But you look at kind of what happened, where Neville, he did the slide, but his ankle kind of rolled underneath him, which, is really tough to see. It's really sad because Neville's one of those guys who definitely deserved a lot more. Unfortunately, Neville, hurt himself, and then Chris Jericho, he shoves Little Nate, getting a disqualification, and of course, Jericho goes off, saying like, shut up, doesn't matter about DQs, blah, 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 AJ Styles not here, blah, blah, blah. Then you hear the AJ Styles theme music hit, Styles comes out, and he hits the phenomenal forearm on Jericho, leaving him out. And it seems like they are definitely going to go through with AJ Styles versus Y2J at WrestleMania. Totally looking forward to that. I think that matchup there is going to be not only going to top the Fastlane matchup, but is definitely going to be a match that people are going to look at and think, wow, this is going to make AJ Styles' career. All right, so we get into the main event segment, which was Vince McMahon coming out, stretched down to the ring with a very so-so reaction. And then he actually demanded Lillian Garcia to introduce him again. And the fans, this time, they laid it into him. They just booed him like crazy. And Vince McMahon says that, Shane has no chance in hell at winning WrestleMania because he's going to be facing my greatest creation. And that he also called it, the most depraved, sadistic creature in the history of the WWE, The Undertaker. Undertaker comes out and gets in the ring. And the funny thing was that Undertaker just came out. He still had his jacket. He still had his hat on. And Vince said, first things first, don't ever, put your hands on me again, like last time. And Undertaker this time, he just takes his coat off. He takes his hat off, does the eye thing. And I look at that thinking, oh, for the love of God, please chokeslam Vince. Oh my gosh, that would be so awesome. And Vince apologizes for, of course, bringing that up, because he then realizes, oh, well, that could happen again. I love how he tries to act tough, but then he's just like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And I think that was actually really cool, because it did make The Undertaker look that much more intimidating. And so many people can say, well, Undertaker's already intimidating, why make him more intimidating? Well, you have to realize that Vince McMahon is Vince McMahon. So you kind of have to remember that. Taker stares down with Vince, and then Shane O'Mac's music comes out, and he comes out, and Shane says, he's been watching match after match after match, finding a weakness, and he thinks he's found, the best way to handle The Undertaker, and that was, he's going to use his mind. Every single time you go for a punch, I'm going to dodge, and I'm going to fight back. I'm going to use, I'm going to use my body as a weapon to beat you down, and, just go crazy. And then he's going to use the heart, because, he talks about, having the heart to just keep going, because every single time you beat him down, he's just going to keep getting up, he's going to keep getting up, and he's going to keep getting up until The Undertaker is going to be so weak, and he's going to take advantage of that. And he's making it seem like, he's going to win at WrestleMania. And that classic thing that Undertaker did, he grabs the mic from Vince McMahon, takes off the WWE deal, and he says, it's still not going to be enough. And The Undertaker just, lays into him. But Shane O'Mac says, it's amazing how he calls you his greatest creation. He makes you his puppet. And Undertaker just starts getting really, really mad, where he says, I am controller of my own life. I don't take orders from him, and I don't take orders from you. And oh boy, because this moment right here was awesome. Shane McMahon says the line of, I've had the displeasure of being Vince's son, and unfortunately for you, you have the pleasure of being Vince's bitch. And The Undertaker, that just drove him over the edge. He grabs Shane, goes for a chokeslam, but Shane gets out of it, just starts punching away at the Phenom, going crazy, and he just finds ways to, counter and counter. But then Vince McMahon shoves Shane into The Undertaker and gets hit with a chokeslam. Vince McMahon is just happy. He's like, yeah, I know you're going to win. But that's when Undertaker turns his head and looks directly at Vince McMahon. And Vince realizes it, and Vince just gets out of there. Undertaker keeps looking at Vince and looks at Shane McMahon. It was honestly a very, very cool moment, because that is a preview of what you're going to expect at WrestleMania. Hell in the Cell, guys. And it is all on the line. Undertaker, he's looking to continue his dominance, despite the fact that he's lost only once. And Shane McMahon's going to be fighting for possible ownership of the WWE Raw show. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this goes down. Well, guys, that is going to wrap it up for this edition of the Raw Recap here on Spreaker.com. I'm your host, Nate the Great. I will see you guys on Thursday, where I will be talking about TNA Impact, as well as the NXT show, which will definitely look to be a very good show, and a possible surprise matchup that will definitely have everybody talking a lot about it. So thank you guys so much. Enjoy your Tuesday, and I will see you soon. I'm here to show the world. I'm here to show the world.